The Springboks kick off their World Cup victory parade in Tshwane. There's been mixed reaction to the Finance Minister's budget speech. And the 3-day African Growth and Opportunity Act Forum is underway in Johannesburg. These top stories and more coming up on the day that was. My name is Dibuseng Milwe. It's been a day of celebration in Gauteng. The world champions, the Springboks, are on their 2023 Rugby World Cup victory tour. The Boks defeated New Zealand over the weekend in a highly contested match, making South Africa the only nation to ever win the World Cup 4 times. Our news teams have been with the champions as they take the cup to the people.
You have energized our people in a way not seen in a long time. It has reminded us that even amidst our many challenges, there is always room for optimism and hope. I have said before that we do not make light of the challenges that our country faces. We certainly do not imagine that a sporting victory can and will wish them away. And yet, I want to say that the event of last Saturday, this week, today, and the next, is about celebrating the glory of the Springboks. Glory that did not come easy, and glory that is richly deserved. And when I addressed you as a team, I say, when you win, and I didn't say if, I said, when you win this cup, you will move into immortality. And today, as a team, you are immortal. You have made us really proud.
We chose to dedicate this World Cup to you because you are the reason we are where we are today. The way that you don't give up, your resilient spirit, how hard you work, and the things that you must go through to be where you are in life, honestly, the other countries can't understand. So your support really kept us going. And also, we are very diverse, just like you are outside there. And we just wanted to show that diversity is our strength in South Africa. And to encourage Mr. President and the Cabinet, we need to use our diversity a bit more. I think it's a powerful force that a lot of countries don't have, that we have, that we can use very brightly, because I think coming from different backgrounds and different areas, we all see different challenges and we see life differently. And the more we share towards South Africa, the more we put South Africa first and we work for South Africa, and everything that I do is focused on that. And that's what we did as a group of players.
Had it in his hand a couple of times today, but to give you an idea of just how many people are here. Police escort. There's the bus moving away from us. Take a look at all these people behind us. There are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people in Pretoria. The bus has had to stop a few times. With police, you can see them here in front of me at the moment, along with CMPD. Everybody get their rugby balls up there. Once they get their T-shirts, their Springbok jerseys up there as well. I think it's Billy LaRue that's now got the World Cup. Sorry, just
there we see Tumelo Machaiva and Billy LaRue and the trophy. And there's Chesley Nazal Tumelo still in his strap. They're still strapped.
With a strap.
They're still strapped. And I think they are at Church Square. And that is the famous Palace of Justice, where the Rivonia trial happened. Where the very same Nelson Mandela, who has used this team, said those words where he was saying, it's for a cause he's willing to die for. So, yeah, the Palace of Justice, there it is, where the Rivonia trial took place. And it's funny, or not funny, funny. What a coincidence, or the irony of it. that where Mandela swore to give his life to South Africa.
After all the uncertainty that preceded the 20th AGOA Forum, South Africa is hosting the gathering in Johannesburg. The neutral stance on the war in Ukraine put South Africa's participation in doubt. Senior reporter Avi Wemtila and Sipamandla Goge are closely monitoring the forum.
For the first time, we're seeing the unions part of the AGOA agreement, I beg your pardon, the AGOA forum itself. And with me is the COSATU president, Zingiswa Losi. President, thank you for joining us at eNCA. First time that the unions are part of the AGOA forum itself. What are you looking to get out of this?
Thank you very much. Indeed, we are excited that we've got an opportunity in the AGOA Forum, as you say, for the first time that we have a labor leg. And what we really are driving home is the importance of a labor voice in the trade agreements. And we want to also emphasize the importance of the decent work as we settle in terms of trade agreements, that workers are not just a commodity. Workers are an important a part of driving the economy and building the economy. And therefore, when workers are being given an opportunity to participate in the economy, it must be also driven with the ILO fundamentals of decent work and the rights of workers, you know, the labor rights, which are human rights. And so we are saying here that we're happy that finally we've got a voice of labor, and we are saying that part of what should be incorporated is the significance of workers as a human capital that must also be recognized, that in the absence of workers, there will be no economic growth. It does not matter how you want to invest in the economy.
Within BRICS itself, there are those who are viewing South Africa hosting this summit with an extra eye of caution to say, hang on, what is going on there? So the entire globe, whether West, BRICS, and all those who are really key players in geopolitics are looking at what is happening in South Africa to say, let's see where this goes in terms of the direction that it will take. But one would be quick to say, at the end of the day, no matter how countries differ in terms of geopolitics, but they unite under one common interest, that is trade. So in this case, of course, there is that pushback from those who feel that trade unions should not be participating in this summit because they must show their solidarity with the Palestinians and they must actually boycott what is happening. But the Labour Federation and the unions that are represented here, they are saying, hang on, all sectors are here. You've got private sector, big business that is here. You've got governments that are here, and there is one key stakeholder that cannot afford not to be here, and those are the workers. So therefore they are being represented by trade union movements.
The fallout from the Gold One mine hostage drama has put the employment status of some workers in doubt. According to labour unions, about 30 workers have been suspended. Bafedile Murerani has more.
Tensions are simmering at Gold One mine in Springs. This following the suspension of 34 miners suspected of being the ringleaders of the hostage drama at the mine last week. Frustrated workers continue to gather outside the mine premises each day in the hope of getting clear answers from the mine. While on the other hand, security has been beefed up at the mine premises. At the heart of all the tensions is the recognition of AMCU as the workers' union representative at the mine.
Even now, what I'm seeing in the back of me is a black child, is a black parent who's been suffering because of another black person. Because, you know, as a black child, for you to get something, there must be a blood that was split.
I don't care if they suspend me or dismiss me. I'm not backing down because the situation at the mine is not right, man. Yeah, it's not right. So we're trying to fix it.
Although a number of workers have been recalled to resume duties, no agreement has been reached to resolve the impasse between workers and the mine.
The suspensions were done to immediately get people that were suspected of being heavily involved in the actions of last week, to get them off the premises, to make the area safe for the employees that were returning, so that they come to a work environment that's free of intimidation.
So far, there are no negotiations that took place. Yes, we are going to sit with management to discuss some of the issues, including recalling the entire workforce. So we'll take it from there.
At the same time, police are investigating kidnapping cases. The cases were opened following interviews with some miners who claimed to have been held against their will underground. No one has been arrested as investigations are continuing. Bafedile Moerane, Springs.
After the break, we look at some of the most hard-hitting and talked about eNCA interviews featured over the past 12 hours on eNCA. Welcome back to The Day That Was. My name is Dibuseng Milwe. The country's debt is growing faster than the economy. That was revealed by Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana while presenting his mini-budget on Wednesday. Government already owes 5 trillion rand, and that will grow to 6 trillion by 2025. eNCA anchor Tami Ngubeni hosted this panel of discussion with John Luce and Waldo Marcus.
What impact is this likely to have on consumers, on homeowners, on the property market?
Well, the budget and the government fiscal situation doesn't have a noticeable direct impact right now that consumers can visibly see. But over the longer run, the fiscal situation does have a meaningful impact on consumers and on property. Because it's a growth-constraining budget, an economic growth-constraining budget at the moment. If you go back 10 years or so, it was more of we could run up our government debt to almost keep the economic growth party going, run wider fiscal deficits. Government debt wasn't problematic then, so it was probably more pro-economic growth. But we've got to a stage now where the Minister of Finance has to start curbing the expenditure because revenues are under pressure for various reasons, and well, they're under pressure because the economy is not growing strongly, and then you've got to cut your coat according to your cloth, an austerity type budget, which is starting to be the case now, and that's growth constraining in the short term, and economic growth constraints mean constraints on job creation, constraints on household disposable income growth, and therefore constraints on the purchasing power for things like property and other consumer items as well. So that's where we're going now. We're into more of I'd say, an anti or not a pro-growth budget. It's necessary because the debt burden is starting to get out of control. And so, there's an indirect economic impact on the consumer and on the housing or on the property market in general.
In layman's terms, what exactly does a growing deficit mean for our money, for our disposable income?
Tami, so at the end, we're a creative bureau, and we look at it in a very simple way. You've got a government that is spending more than it is receiving. And that in itself, with the rating agencies specifically looking at how this expenditure is growing and how our debt burden is growing. And in simple terms, the Credit Bureau, as well as the rating agencies, look at a government and say, what is its capability of repaying these debts that it is racking up? And as John earlier mentioned, is that we came from a very good growth strategy, and we're now going into an austerity period where more debt is required for various reasons. State-owned enterprises is really consuming a huge amount of that. And that then runs the risk that the rating agencies is looking at the country and saying, hang on, they really don't have the capability to repay these debts, and it's making it more and more expensive to then cover these interests.
The World Cup win by the Springboks has epitomized what most of us want for South Africa, a united, free and most of all cohesive nation. But as days go by, will this feeling last? eNCA anchor Masego Ratlaga spoke to Soli Moeng, a reputation management specialist.
And I mean, I remember our sports editor, Vatango Beni, saying he wishes he could take this feeling and bottle it up somewhere so that every time he needs to remember how it felt, he just opens that bottle a little bit. Will this be something that goes away? I mean, we are also a country that has many other problems. We're in an election year where a lot of us are going to be annoyed by the promises that are never kept by many politicians.
Yeah, I think I've never taken drugs, but somebody was explaining to me the other day. It's like when you get a high, I think we took this drug and you are on a high now. It's amazing. It's almost like all the problems of the world have gone away. But if you look at South Africa as a destination brand, this is the tip of the iceberg, the tip of the brand, the logo, the slogan, the beautiful colors. But in the submerged part of the brand is where you're supposed to find the pillars that hold this brand together. But unfortunately, that's where you find a lot of pain in South Africa. Pain over load shedding, a more and more expensive life, jobs that have lost, livelihoods that have been destroyed, etc., etc., etc. So we need to, while it's important to celebrate this other stuff, I think we, the people of this country, need to be clear about what we want. We have elections next year. We have to be able to unite on something, on a basket of something, and look at the people that can unlock this potential for us because they control policies and resources, and look at them in their eyes and say, this far, no further. It's no longer up to you to decide where this country goes. We want to be the co-authors of future South Africa. Until we get there, until these people, we give them the opportunity to come and celebrate, hold the cup, pretend to be happy, and we have Sia Kolisa making all these beautiful speeches, they are entrenched, until we can change this stuff, they're entrenched, toxic, flings in our political body, in our body politics, arrogance, impunity, they will not go away. So we need to stand up and say, what kind of country do you want? So that these things are not just a festival that comes and goes, but they become, they unlock the potential that we all know we have as a nation.
The 20th AGOA Private Sector Forum has kicked off in Nasrec in Johannesburg, and one of the talking points will be the importance of the private sector in driving the trade deal. eNCA business anchor Melissa Tichy spoke to Frank Blackmore.
Attracting investors is key to economic growth in South Africa. Do you think the medium-term budget policy statement succeeded to instill some confidence?
I don't think so, and my reasoning is as follows. We've gone through a large number of years where we've lost credibility regarding the fiscal management or the management of the fiscus. And we know this because over this period we have had several sovereign debt downgrades, which meant that, the riskiness of the economy has gone up based on the fact on how we were managing our fiscus. And even recently, if we compare sort of our economic state that took place when the February budget came out, the main budget, compared to now, we've had a further deterioration, telling us that international investors are wary of specifically our sort of fiscal situation that we find ourselves in. I think the difficulty with respect to the budget is, although yesterday's budget contained a lot of, let's call it, positive statements of intent, in other words, cutting expenditure, investing in the economy, trying to grow the economy. So the right words were said. We know that as far as our record is concerned, we don't act. So the behavior, the actions are not in line with those intents. And when we get up the road to the next budget presentation, then we see the slippage on the fiscal front. And I think it will take one or two good budgets where we actually do what we say or better in order for the international investors to take note and to start believing that we've got our fiscal house in order.
Stay tuned to The Day That Was. Coming up, more top stories and interviews after the break. Welcome back to The Day That Was. My name is Dibuseng Mire. Water and Sanitation Minister Senzo Mchunu is conducting an oversight visit to the Clan William Dam infrastructure project in the Western Cape. Mchunu will receive a progress report on the project, which has been in the making for 10 years. eNCA reporter Kevin Brunt was there.
Infrastructure upgrades at the Clan William Dam, situated on the Olifants River, have been riddled by delays since the first phase of the project kicked off in 2013. The Water and Sanitation Department last year established an infrastructure procurement office to get the project back on track.
It's a project that started some time ago, and I would say, collapsed for some reasons, one reason or the other. 2 years ago, we came here to see what were the reasons of collapse, We committed to resuscitating. We then started processes, each aspect, and then we're here today because according to reports from officials, there's dust and mud here. So I wanted to come here, see for myself that indeed there's dust and mud.
Officials say the dam expansion will see its water storage capacity almost being doubled.
We're here today observing actually this project moving forward, noting that the 13-meter increase in the wall height will actually generate what we estimate over the next decade, close to 70,000 job opportunities, which is a core focus of our province. Within this district, this is an agricultural-driven district, and we all understand, as that opportunities will be created, the agriculture sector will bloom, but also in focusing on energy.
Part of the dam's final upgrade will see the infrastructure also feature a hydroelectric facility.
We didn't lose money because we didn't give up budgets. When we couldn't implement the project, we used the money that we had budgeted for other projects. And also our procurement has been not up to scratch, our infrastructure procurement.
Water and Sanitation Department authorities have vowed to stick to the new targets. Officials say they will also rely on the infrastructure procurement policy and strategy to navigate the project to completion. Kevin Brand, Clan William.
The state has called a new witness. Fusimuzi Mogani is a police officer from the cold case unit in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial within a trial. His name has been mentioned in the evidence related to the accused two Bongani Ntanzi's alleged confession. eNCA reporter Mangoba Mkunu was there.
And while we're conducting our investigations, a name of Bongani Ntanzi came up. We discovered that he is involved in that case.
This is how Sergeant Vusimuzi Mogani says Bongani Ntanzi's name came up in the Senzo Meyiwa murder investigation in December 2019. He says it took police 6 months to find him.
On the 16th of June, we did arrive in Pukeng. Since the informant had informed us where we would find Bongani Ntanzi, he then directed us to that place. We went there during the day, and where we were, he showed us where Ntanzi could be found.
He was arrested for a murder case in Kwanongoma in KwaZulu-Natal, but was also interrogated on his alleged involvement in the Senzo Meyiwa murder.
The Brigadier Kineza asked Ntanzi where he was on the day that Senzo Meyiwa was killed. Then he also informed him that he is a suspect in the case, in the murder case of Senzo Meyiwa. Ntanzi declined and said he does not know anything because he was at work on that day. We went together with him into the mine. They checked in their records if Ntanzi was on duty on that specific day. It was discovered that he was not on duty.
Mogani says he later received a call from the lead investigator to take Ntanzi to Soweto, where he allegedly made his confession.
Before we went for the slaughterhouse, we went via the Morocco police stations. He said we are going to find there Lieutenant Colonel Rapado, who was going to receive Ntanzi's confession.
The court also heard how bullets were found in Ntanzi's possession when police searched his house. He says Ntanzi appeared several times in court, represented by his lawyer.
On the proceedings of the 13th of July 2020, can you indicate, according to the record, who was appearing on behalf of the accused?
The defense accused one, Mr. Mjiako.
And again, the appearances of the 3rd of August 2020.
It was Mr. Mjiako again.
But the defense labeled Moghani's statement a fabrication after it emerged that it was typed by the lead investigator only last week. His testimony continues on Friday. Manqoba Mchunu, Pretoria.
And that's a wrap of this edition of The Day That Was. From myself and the rest of the team, have a great one. Salang Hanki.